here's a view. This is a new model for thinking about our customers and the users within our customers. So we created personas. So we looked at the segmentation, and we also looked at the different roles within these organisations. We created personas, customer journey maps, and then we did further analysis really on what was driving value when we looked at sort of customer satisfaction and NPS. That was really, really fantastic. And that took about 2 months. So really, really fast, yeah, as a planning process. And then we took it to the leadership. And we basically said, firstly, you have to understand this, yeah? And then together, we're going to agree what our intent is going to be. And it was a really interesting session. I think, I don't know if you can see there in the middle picture there, there's a grey-haired guy with glasses. That's John. He's the boss. He's the boss. And he was an active participant, but actually everyone within his team were sort of participants. And there were people that were being fairly challenging to the process and saying, why are we doing this? And I don't really understand, is there really a link between satisfaction and value and all of these things? But we forced this team together to start thinking in terms of what's really happening for customers today and start to make commitments to different outcomes for customers. And what we did was this. We developed a really simple description of how we wanted the commercial fleet customer experience to build. If anyone who knows me knows I love a pyramid. Pyramids is really, really helpful in communicating really simply what we're trying to do here. What's the bottom part here say? Reliable. In a business-to-business environment, the very bedrock, to be fair, in any customer experience, reliability thing, but in business-to-business, people aren't there to entertain themselves. They're there to do work, get shit done so they can go and do something else. And reliability, when we talk to customers, they talk, reliability, safe, secure, accessible. Yeah? And then the next level is clear and straightforward. And the reason why that's important because it's really, B2B is really complicated. And because it's complicated, organisations allow themselves the excuse of it's complicated to make things complicated for their customers and not take the time to explain things or try and simplify in a way that could make interactions quicker and easier. So clear and straightforward. And then the top level, personal and rewarding. Yeah. All we're really doing here is playing back, this is how your customers describe superior customer experience. And we're able to reach an agreement around that really, really quickly simply because of the research and the analysis and the way of presenting back our planning outputs. It was really,
It was actually, if I recall correctly, it was quite a disappointment. Because we were always thinking it needs to be the next big innovation, it needs to be whistles and bells. If you just look at this, it's pretty basic. But that was also the biggest eye-opening factor to this, that the customer's not waiting for the next innovations. They just want good care. So and that is actually where we're really making this real for the first time.
Thanks, Sarah. The other thing that we did is we made that leadership team. And so what we did was we presented out of all of the data, the sort of reviewing sort of verbatims within NPS and CSI surveys, pain points. We said, hey, look, there are about 100 pain points across these 3 different markets, but there are about 14 that are repeated across all 3 markets and common to all of these markets. And they're a pretty good starting point if we want to think about where we're going to start. And what these notes are our personas or our sort of users, how they would want that thing to work or how they want to be treated or what they want that experience to be like. So with the finance controller saying, I want my invoice on time, accurate and clear. Really basic. Some of this stuff's quite basic. Through to, the boss that I wanted to, the decision maker within the commercial fleet clients or sort of customer saying, I want to be treated like a valued customer. We got them to actually take the time to try and think in the customer language. And the language was a really, really big, important part of that day. And then we got them to really, looking back now, it wasn't particularly scientific, was it, Sarah? But we said, where are we going to start? What are we going to do? And we actually came out of that room with 4 priorities. Yeah? Because sort of my sort of longer working experience with Shell is that actually when you find loads of problems, it seems to be the precursor to creating a program to try and fix every single problem, and that program takes about 5 years, and then by the time you finished it, those problems aren't really that important to the customer anymore, and something's moved on. So we were sort of saying, having all of this insight and knowledge around what the current landscape looks like, what the journey and the experience is like, we can't allow ourselves to go, wow, be overwhelmed by it, or the opposite end of the spectrum, let's try and fix everything at once. Yeah. Yeah, see, there's a bit of a pattern. And then I made this leadership team stand up in front of this, and then we communicated this out to the business. We actually said, the commercial fleet leadership team has agreed this is our definition for superior customer experience. Yeah. And then the other thing that we said was, so we've got this sort of definition now, and we've even got maybe some areas of focus. What's going to be different? Because like I said, just coming up with some new priorities won't necessarily fix all of this stuff. I think we had a kind of a general worry that the Shell instincts would be to create projects, and then we just be focused on the projects, not really about outcomes. That we would try and make everything an IT system thing and not really worry about how do we manage our customer expectations. And that everything would be really become a big thing. Actually the minimum would take, to fix anything would be 1 year. And we said, no, we're not going to try and do that. And this is me being a bit idealistic, I think. And I sort of said, this is how we think we need to be different in the way that we try and address these things. So the first thing is outcomes. We've got to be more focused on outcomes. Shell as an organisation, and Sarah, you can correct me if I get this wrong, but has an engineering mindset.
Big time, yeah.
It's all, oh great, let's, oh, that's it, oh, I've got this, there's an app, let's build an app for that, or there's a new solution for that. And we're saying, no. Outcomes, yeah? Is this going to deliver on the outcome that we need? Yeah? Is it going to create the outcome that we need? Second thing is expectations and what actually happens, yeah? So we can't just jump into things and say, well, we need to change what the experience, I mean, I think Corinne sort of was talking about, this idea of the actual experiences. We might have to start managing it. I mean, I think our research was telling us that a lot of the problems were being caused by Shell's customers not even understanding the service standards. When am I supposed to get this thing? I don't know. I was late. I mean, no one told me whether I was going to get that within 7 days or take longer than that. So start to think about not just fixing the actual service experience, but how do you manage expectations before that and maybe even after. And this third thing, and this was probably a good idea at the time. It didn't really work out very well, I don't think, from my perspective. But this idea that I sort of said, look, think about this as 1-3-1-3. If everything at the moment, if as soon as you say, oh, look, we want to move that button in that system, or that's 90-man day job, and that's going to take 6 months. So, well, look, in this problem space that we're talking about, so if it's like, I can't read my invoice, I don't understand my invoice, what could we do in 1 month? Is there anything that we could possibly do in 1 month to make a difference to the customer would see in 1 month, or 3 months, or 1 year, or 3 years? So this was to allow the idea that there are things that we could be doing today that could be actually making a difference for our customers today. And there are some things like, well, actually, if we want to get Shell commercial fleet customers their cards quicker, Sarah showed the picture, it all centres around this card. Well, imagine if there were no cards. Imagine if it was an app. And well, that's not a 1 month thing, isn't it? That's maybe a 1 to 3 year thing. But that's a good idea. It should be on the roadmap somehow, or something that we should look at in terms of how we're going to get that out there. And so what we were really saying is, we shouldn't be flipping in this to one of these big juggernaut, some monolithic programs of customer experience transformation. We've got to start doing these things today, yeah? And so that was the thing that I was sort of quite passionate about when I was sort of speaking to Sarah and her team and sort of saying, this is how we're going to make it happen. That was about March last year.
Yep.
And then, so we had this. We had a vision and a plan, and then we got into doing it. And I remember thinking, there's a lot of enthusiasm around this, but probably about 3 months into that, so maybe from about March to June, there were a lot of I was getting feedback on, are we making progress? Is anyone actually doing anything? I think we were quite challenged around, this has all been very, very good. We all buy the theory and the strategy that's been presented here. Is it actually making a difference? So what I thought I'd throw to Sarah to talk about, so what really happened and what really made the most difference in actually rolling this out? Yeah.
5 key lessons that we learned throughout the journey. First lesson is, let me first say, I cannot promote Shell, but I can promote Foolproof. I think that they did a brilliant job. And for an engineering-focused company like Shell to actually make it so obvious, so simplified, so Louis Kilding, Rob Sterry, Tim, I think that you really made a difference for us there in this first part, the planning part. But now it was indeed up to us to make this real. And so far, we've been in the boardroom, we've been with a very select group of frontline people, but to get the critical mass, to get it click with everyone in the organization, that was now the biggest challenge. And I think the first thing that worked out very well was the very powerful way that Foolproof designed our customer journey in. And they really made it intuitive, they really made it messy, as it is for customers to do business with us. And that really helped the people that were dealing with customers to get it, to not be focused on me and my job and what I do today and my project that I need to run, cost optimization that we like in Shell. When I get a customer on the phone, I'm getting annoyed. Why is this customer coming to me? I need to make sure that I hand it off as quick as possible to someone else. I'm not a customer expert and I don't like to talk to customers. That's essentially who we were. And by actually showing to all of us, painfully, how we actually treated customers, and that we don't really have the customers in our values, treating them with care, was a really insightful thing to do. And that's where the visualization of the customer journey helped big time. Another thing that was very powerful that I recall that Tim used to do a lot, that I picked up, was really just going to people that were very skeptical about all of this. Yes, actually, central marketing lady Sara, what do you know about me and my customers? I'm with the customer every day. I'm already customer-centric. And that's where, I took over from Tim. Just think about one of the best experiences that you had. A company that you got great customer experience from. How did you feel? How did it make you feel? Yeah, feeling cared for, trusted, respected. And then we just mirrored that on, how do we do business in B2B retail? And that was just a striking difference. So that was the real click, I think, for a lot of people around, we are by far not customer focused. So I think that's, the first lesson learned. It's about really making sure that people start to understand why.